Good evening and welcome to episode 1 of What the Heck. Tonight, we meet the crew, talk about quarantine, and maybe even find out why Jake's been growing that patchy beard this whole time. Crack a cold one, kick your feet up, and sit back and enjoy the ride. Hi guys! We finally made it. We've been talking about this, and the day is finally here. I am your host with the most, I reckon, Collin Frederick, welcoming these two fine gentlemen into my home. As if I'm dealing poker, I have Jacob W. Reese. Actually, I could not tell you Jake's middle name, but that's okay. And Tyler P. Heck, stands for Patricia, I'm guessing. Jake, tell me what brings you to this closet dog bedroom podcast studio.
I had nothing better to do, and I wanted to get out of the house from my wife and kids.
But he doesn't mean that because he loves you all very, very much.
Dearly, from the bottom of my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been on a podcast before, so I thought it'd be super exciting to have my own podcast.
But ultimately,
our podcast.
There's nothing better to do on a Friday night in quarantine land.
That's 100% correct, yes.
I have known Jake for a long time, since I was just a chubby little 5th grader, trying wrestling out for the first time.
Awesome.
Bad. Poor. I think it's safe to assume that I weighed more as a 5th grader that was like 5'2" than most of you out in podcast world probably do as grown adults.
That's correct.
And I went to one tournament and I wrestled the kid from Iguanago, who, I don't know, I guess is rather similar in build to me actually. And it didn't go well. And that was...
There might have been some tears shed.
There were not tears.
It's okay.
This guy is
We're in a safe zone.
Fierce competitor. But anyway, because I'm such a fierce competitor, that was the end of my wrestling career for a while. I went on a little hiatus. I was like, you know what? I think maybe this is not for me.
I think you disappeared so that you could go get some personalized training because you came back an animal in 8th grade.
Well, see, what happened actually was in 7th grade, I came back and I was like, I'm just not sure. Not sure about all this. And then I let Garrett whoop up on me for an entire year.
And big cousin Ben.
Oh yeah, Ben was
stopped
there.
in to pound on you a little bit, welcome you to the world.
Ben's probably going to listen to this because he's one of those guys in his Dollar General hours.
I loved Ben post high school. Ben and I did not like each other when he was a wrestler for me in high school.
Oh no, you're difficult to like. In high school.
Thank you for that compliment.
Jake and I have a really colorful history together.
Is it because I'm so competitive?
I don't think so. I think it's because your one finger bends kind of weird. But Tyler's fairly new in my life. What happened was I graduated high school and I moved away. And I came back and there was this man who, I don't know. Did you come like literally the next year after I was gone?
Yeah, I was here. You graduated and left, and I replaced you.
It feels a little intentional, but like I'm glad you're here.
I didn't mean it that way. I didn't know you at the time, so I didn't know.
I did not hold that significant of a role in the community, so I'm sure that you filled in rather adequately. All I knew about Tyler at first was, first I thought his last name was cool, and that has become the butt of many a joke, mostly by Garrett Jeters, which is just always the same. I think he's a one-trick pony in that regard. But the name of the podcast, as well as the logo, is his signature bald head and specs, X-ray specs. And then it turned out he wasn't so bad. Not that I guess I'd never heard a negative review, so I didn't have a reason to think that.
I was gonna say, jeez.
But Tyler and I have the very unique joy of coaching the junior varsity squad at dear old Bigfoot High, which is interesting in that how many kids do we have on the team last year?
Oh, man.
13?
Yeah,
14?
14 maybe when we were fully healthy.
For those of you sports ballers out there, you need 11 to play football. So at practice, we would set up either our offense or our defense, and then would go ahead and field the other side of the ball with the two of us and the 2 or 3 reserves.
I'm available if you guys ever need me to play some O or some D.
You really should.
I will tell you,
put on my cleats.
This man has a cannon right here.
Oh,
He's hitting me in the hand so many times.
I'm a great route runner.
Oh, man.
I may not have the blazing speed, but it's all about
you're
running the route.
You're more of a Marty Booker then.
I'm more of a Ocho Cinco, really, the greatest route runner in the game. His footwork was phenomenal.
Yeah, but I'm thinking more as just really, I really can't emphasize enough the lack of flash in your game. But let me tell you, you're steady. You're real steady. I can always count on you. You've got a little bit of a mustache. I remember Marty Booker was the best thing of my childhood. And then he went away, which was a bummer, but then was replaced by Muhsin Muhammad, which that
was a big upgrade.
Big time.
He was so fun to watch. More fun to watch in Carolina as a Packers fan.
Fact. Because he was kind of washed up by the time he got there, which tends to happen.
Plus, what a name.
The old Moose. But anyway, Tyler and I get to play a lot of football with the JV squad.
The old freshman.
Relive some of the glory days. Play positions that was just not realistic for me.
No business being wide receiver.
Although I'll tell you,
it's so fun.
I want to know how many times you guys absolutely destroyed a 15-year-old.
I think they're 14, but
Even better. Even better.
There wasn't a lot of hit stick kind of action. I would give him the old stiff arm one. Actually, I did once in a while. Aaron Rowland was cruising for a bruising.
Aaron, a couple times with Jax.
Yeah.
Trent just because.
T-Bone. I called him T-Bone because it made him sound real tough. He was 68 pounds.
Yeah. No, I think Aaron took most of the blows if we were handing them off. Because, I didn't really. I caught the ball and I'd run maybe 2 steps and then I stopped because I know my own abilities.
I was going to say, I always came from work. I was always wearing cargo shorts and work boot things. And I'd be out there running around. Way out of breath and also just the sweatiest. But I'll tell you, my freshman year of high school, I started the second half of the Clinton game at quarterback. That is a fun fact onto my...
Were the first 5 quarterbacks injured?
No, but it was 64-0. And they were like, does anybody want to try quarterback? That's neat. So, this is kind of us. We are just a couple of buddies, small town America, just kind of hanging out, drinking a few drinks, and talking about literally what's ever on our minds. So we just wanted to, invite you all into our circle for that. We think that during this time it'd be nice to have a little bit of relief from something if we can make you laugh or make you smile. Make you feel like you got a new buddy named Jake. Everybody wants a new buddy named Jake, right?
Can't hurt.
So that's really what we're about. I don't really have any deep philosophical meanings for what I'm trying to get out of this. There's not really a sense of fulfillment other than a good time with my friends and my other 3 friends that'll probably listen to this. So today, as I mentioned in the intro, we're going to talk a little bit about, first, the backbone of this production, our favorite segment, What the Heck, where we dig a little bit into the mind of Tyler Heck and see what he's got cooking up. It could have been what he had cooking up for dinner. It could have been his latest issue with the pop music scene. And it could be some kind of cat hairball situation. It's hard to tell. So we're going to find out what the heck is going on. We're going to talk a little bit about quarantine, as that's something that we're all dealing with together and dealing with in different ways, and I think it's affecting everybody differently, but affecting us all nonetheless. And then, to wrap up the inaugural show of this Emmy award-winning Grammy nominee. We didn't win that one, but we were close.
We'll get that one.
This podcast, we're going to play our first game of News or Not. I've set it up, and I've not told them really any information about it. So that should be interesting.
I'm going to win, just for the record.
It's possible. I would say you have a 50% chance.
I'm just here to have fun.
Not me. I'm here to kick ass and take names.
Maybe it's possible.
There's only 3 names to take, so.
Well, you can't have mine.
He knows the answers.
Mine's I have the answers in front of me, so that doesn't count.
So you're just going to get your ass kicked then.
But here we go. Let's talk what the heck. Tyler, what the heck is going on today?
Speaking of quarantine, this is what we've been dealing with. I was out today at Walmart, and I gotta say, some of these homemade masks are just like I don't have a legit mask. I wear a bandana over my face. It does a job, so it's homemade. But some of the things that I've seen, even today, are just, I'm flabbergasted.
It's good.
Okay?
It's really
And
good.
Here's the one that I saw today that I had to do double take because I didn't think I saw it at first. Picture a plastic, like Ziploc baggie, okay? Cut down the seams so you just have the one half, okay? Taped under the eyes and down the cheeks. And then, because that's
awesome, by the way.
It is. But to make it better, it's not done. A hole cut around the mouth and the nose.
So,
do you think that was a use it and toss it, or did they take it home and wash it so they could use it again next trip out?
Based on the tape, it was new tape for sure, because it was athletic tape. It wasn't like masking tape or anything like that.
Strong.
Okay, athletic tape.
Oh, it's a good place
So
to
you
put
know
it
they've
on
got
your
to
face.
replace that. That's you take it off. It's not going back on. Okay, so it has to be, at least the tape is new. The bag, I couldn't tell. But
So follow up. Like my initial thought is, oh my God, that person's gonna suffocate, right?
They cut a hole over their mouth.
But they cut a hole. So follow up. Why do you have plastic taped to your face that's not covering your nose and mouth?
Exactly. And I don't know. I didn't
engage them.
ask.
You should have. You really
I
should
kind of
have.
wanted to, but again, like I said, I was walking. I saw them down the aisle, and it kept going and had to do. I stopped myself and had to do a double take because all at first I saw was the white athletic tape
Sure.
on their face, and I was like, "What is that?"
Serious injury.
And then I looked closer,
Cheek injury.
and I felt like I was looking a little bit too long. And I didn't feel comfortable just being like...
Did you look longer than 3 Mississippis? Because that is staring.
However...
Oh, for sure. I was frozen. I didn't know. And then finally,
it's like a car
I was
accident.
like, I got to keep going. And I just hoped that I did not see that person again. Because they had to have seen me. But then a thought popped into my head. Who isn't staring at that person with this homemade mask?
Well, that's kind of my point. Is even beyond the mask, does the 3-second rule still apply at Walmart? Because it feels like by being in a Walmart, you're almost signing a waiver to be like, yeah, I know, I'm kind of a goofball. Maybe I'm wearing pajama pants. Maybe I've got a plastic bag taped to my face. But I feel like you walk in the door, no, even beyond that. You walk out your front door, and you're like, this is me, world. This is who I am. That's something.
Yeah.
How's the bandana mask treating you?
glasses make it a little bit harder, but I
Oh,
found
do you get foggy?
a little bit, but I found a way to fold it where the fog gets caught in the bandana.
Sure.
So it only happens if I'm like really breathing heavy, which
You know, flight of stairs.
does happen every on occasion, but it's really helped bring that fog level down. And if it does fog up, it's there for a second, two, and it's gone.
What I like about the bandana mask is it got a little bit of AC on the bottom. You know, there's still plenty of room for a nice breeze. I am a sweater. So any kind of natural AC that I can incorporate in my life, that is the route I'm going to take. Unfortunately, my mask does not have AC built into it.
Well, you could cut a hole.
I could cut a hole, but then it feels like I'm just, one of those guys with the hole in their mask. My mask situation, my mother made a bunch of masks, I think like for the church or something. And so I nabbed one of those puppies because I was going to a funeral, unfortunately. And it was, the social distancing funeral, and everybody was all far apart. It was the first funeral I've ever been to with like no handshakes or hugging. And that was very interesting to me because there was a lot of that, like, I'm looking at you and we're kind of like, but so that was weird. But I had gone with my fiance and her family, and so I didn't know anyone there. But we were walking in, and everybody else has like these little slick masks with the elastic that just pop over the ears. Mine ties, which is fine, but my meaty sausage fingers are not necessarily the most dexterous. So I was having so there's two things working against me. One, my hands. It's just not. They're built for power, not for speed, But the second thing is I have maybe top 5 head size in the world. I have the largest cranium.
I thought you were going to talk about your T-Rex arms.
No, actually I have a 6'2" wingspan despite my 4'7" height. So it's really actually kind of shocking. But so I don't think there's quite enough string, so that also was working against me. But anyway, I could not get this thing tied. And I'm walking into this funeral home, right? Uncomfortable anyway. Full of people I don't know. Uncomfortable. Now by myself because my party has moved on ahead of me. And so I'm standing there struggle busting it in the front foyer of this funeral home. And finally Katie turns around and I give her, of course she can only see my eyeballs because it's kind of draped down over my face despite not being secured at all. So she can see this look in my eyes like, hello, clearly I'm not capable of tying this mask by myself, which feels kind of elementary, but I was like, can that guy get some help, please? But she came back and she saved the day because she's wonderful. But that's my mask situation. Now I leave the top one tied.
Slide it on.
So I can just kind of slide that over my ears, and then I kind of, if I can get the bottom one tied, great. If I'm wearing a hoodie maybe or a hat, I can tuck those bottom strings in there and get her kind of secured. But it's so hot on my face. I feel like I'm cooking. My mustache hair's off a little bit.
You said the beard hairs definitely do not help.
It doesn't cool it down. So then, Jake arrives tonight at the studio with what just might be the ugliest piece of fabric I've ever seen in my life strapped to his face. And it was alarming enough that my dog, who generally is a real friendly guy, loves everybody, was hard out on Jake Reese's entry to the studio land. What do you have to say for yourself?
On Wisconsin. That was made by a cousin of mine. She's made over 500 of them for the Manitowoc, northern Milwaukee, Sheboygan area for hospitals, nurses, churches, doctors. So, as I am the epitome of Badger fans, I said, hey, can you make a couple for me and my family?
Loud and dumb.
Awesome and awesome.
Oh, that feels like the same word. I'm not doubting your cousin's ability to sew or their willingness to do nice things for society.
You're doubting the fabric choice.
That's correct, yes.
Well, that's because you went to the upside down Wisconsin school, so clearly that was your mistake.
Well, it's the problem with the W is that it's not even really like a straight letter. It's like somebody started to smear their paintbrush while they were drawing it, and that's how it kind of got the.
Can you spell winner without W? I'm pretty sure you can.
Can you spell badgers with the word bad right at the beginning of it? Yes.
Winner.
That's the only way.
W starts the word winner. So that's us.
It also starts the word winter, which is something I'm familiar with.
I love winter, so that's two things I love. Winning and winter. And they both start with an awesome W.
That's very interesting. Sky, my row the boat, go first. On to the next topic. Quarantine talk. What have you guys been doing?
Nothing?
Well, for a while, I felt like I was not even allowed to send Jig a text message because he was quarantining. Like, I thought that the highlight of his entire day was when he could get out and go for a little stroll.
Well, I will say it's harder when you have kids because kids look to their parents. What are they doing? So for the first month, we literally went to the grocery store. I went to my office a couple times a week.
I saw you there.
That was it. We didn't see anybody. We didn't go to my parents' house. We didn't, because with kids, they go, oh, well, you did that. How come I can't go do this? So it was like we literally were trying to be very serious about it.
Is that why they're all going to make a bad college decision as well?
No.
Okay.
That's why they're going to be successful business owners somewhere else.
Let's
far
get
away from here.
Weren't you just telling me how your daughter has no interest?
She doesn't want to stick around here at all and go into the family business, which currently isn't a family business, but I'd like to make it one. So I got a 50% chance.
I think you're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah. So really, we did nothing for the first month or so, and now we've come to the realization that you can keep the social distancing and do, loosen the reins a little bit. Because I did go golfing when golf opened back up. It was kind of a release for me, a little sense of normalcy. And right away, my daughter says, oh, you can go golf with your friends. I still can't do anything with my friends. So we had to kind of rethink our position.
I can see where that's tough. For me, I think that getting back some sense of normalcy in your life, I think is kind of a step towards finding the balance between physical health and everything that's going on, and mental health, because at least for me, I guess I don't even have it as bad because I've still been able to go to work as we've been deemed essential or whatever the classification is, but I apparently am enough of an extrovert that not being able to see anyone or go anywhere is driving me nuts. Cabin fever to the max, that I just go to work and I come home and sleep. Which works out okay because it's our busy season anyway, and I'm pretty much asleep at 6 o'clock, and it kind of drives Katie nuts. But that kind of is what it is. But I think that, like you said, if you can do things and see people and get back a little bit of normal life while, trying to be responsible about it, I don't know. I'm all for that.
Especially, we all remember, well, I'm a number of years older than you young men are.
Nearly all of the years.
But podcast world is probably, who am I kidding? Most of you are going to be younger than me too. So anyway, think back to when you were a 16-year-old girl. I mean, when you were just 16.
I remember those days fondly.
Like it was yesterday.
Your social life was that was it, right? That was the world. What are we doing? Are we going to the basketball game Friday night? Are we going to the football game? What are we doing? Are we going out for pizza afterwards? So for my 16-year-old to be at home and modern technology, thank the Lord for FaceTime and Google Classroom and all this, Google Hangouts, and all these things they can get together with. But we realized last week that wasn't enough. Seeing your friends through your phone is not the same as hanging out in your driveway with your friends 10 feet away talking to them. Because I did a couple driveway visits late last week with my daughter and a couple friends, and it was you could see her mood changing instantly and then for a number of days. So I will say, we've had the talk in our house about how this happened when I was a kid. There was no Xbox. Nobody played online. We had the little Atari with the joystick controller that broke frequently.
Didn't you also have the cars where there just wasn't a floorboard and you had to use your feet?
We got floorboards in ours. We upgraded. But we had a black and white TV and then a color TV. No remote.
Somehow
We were the remote.
School.
I was the remote for my dad.
The school was at the top of a hill.
Yep.
No matter how
uphill both ways.
The
6 feet of snow.
That's shocking.
We didn't have call waiting on the landline in my parents' house, so you had a 15-minute time limit, one phone call a night, because Dad always said you never know when someone important is going to be calling, so you're not tying up that phone line.
It's valid. Father's a very wise man.
He is.
This
I appreciate it.
Me and some friends were just talking about was even 10 years ago when we were back in school, it would be totally different.
I was like
all
5.
All the things that 10 years ago,
yeah.
But all the things that we have now that we didn't have, like Google Classroom wasn't a thing. We didn't have Zoom. We didn't have cell phones, essentially, that you could pull up the internet on. So how different it even would have been when we were in school. And we talked, because I was talking to friends from high school, how much we were actually out together all the time. As juniors and seniors, when you have a car and you can go away, our time at home was essentially sleep, eat breakfast, go to school, and then go be with your friends.
Yeah.
So just to, and that's one thing that...
Boy, your parents sound fun.
Well, I don't think they were always happy that I made those choices. But I never did anything dumb, and I'm still alive. So, they can't be too upset. But I think that's one thing that so many people forget, especially people who don't have kids, aren't working with kids. They're stuck in their house for the first time, essentially ever. Even, they can go online, they can do all this stuff and interact with their friends, but it's not the same as going out and joking around, doing whatever kids do these days. Dating myself, maybe a little bit, but it'd be so different 10 years ago, even more different 20 years ago. And I think that people need to think a little bit differently about how these kids are going to come out of this, whether it's in a couple weeks like it's supposed to, maybe in a couple months like people are thinking, maybe even a little bit longer, we don't know. But it's crazy that we're at this point, but I think so many people are starting to see, like you said, hey, we can get away with doing a little bit of this, doing a little bit of that. Social distance. Obviously, we're not going to have huge groups of 100 people at someone's house, maybe like we would have. Not that we even know that many people.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
we're not going to throw huge parties. But you know what? If we're going to have 4 or 5 people over and have dinner, and they're going to sit across the room and we're going to talk a little bit, or if we're going to sit out in the front yard and hang out and just catch up, you got to have that mental health check. Bring ourselves back to a little bit of normalcy here.
For sure.
I will say that above most normal times when I appreciate my daughter not having a boyfriend, I really appreciate it now because I don't have to really worry about enforcing the 6-foot social distance zone. I have a couple friends that their daughters have boyfriends, and so they've had to ixnay the boyfriend at all costs because they don't know how to deal with that 6-foot social distance zone.
I, as a man without children, and frankly terrified of the prospects of having a daughter.
3 daughters you're going to have.
Nope. Nope.
Minimum of 2.
I think that after the first one, I couldn't risk it anymore. I couldn't risk them piling up. I think that I would treat every single day for eternity as if there's a deadly virus. Yeah, no, sorry. Tommy's not actually coming over ever. Yeah, no, ever. I don't know. I think that I appreciate the nice, cool dads out there that allow that thing to slide, but I just think that I would have a difficult time.
You can say that until little Susie blinks her eyelashes at you a few times. Dad, can Johnny come over and watch a movie? blink, 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 blink.
But
And you
doesn't
go,
the blink though make you think like, oh, my sweet little innocent pumpkin seed that I've nurtured into?
there's nothing says you can't sit on the other end of the couch and watch the movie with them.
That feels worse. I think I'd rather just be, the jerk up front than the total mood killer. Although I feel like when you're a dad, like those kind of bits, like that is like the highlight of your day.
It really
That's
is.
Like,
And think about if the boyfriend actually like really likes you, and you start joking around, and it just pisses your daughter off.
Yeah.
I think that's the game right there.
Dad jokes. There's a reason they're dad jokes, and I love them because you really don't have a sense of appreciation for them until you're a dad and you tell them and your kids get upset with you. Then it's like, I won, and I'm going to come back tomorrow with an even better dad joke.
That's the goal. You either make both of them uncomfortable, or you get him on your side, and now you're both making her super uncomfortable.
all right, you guys almost have me considering.
Let me throw
I'm
a
still
third
out.
option.
Still
Let me
out.
throw
No
a third
daughters
option
for me.
out.
I'm out.
You just happen to be cleaning your gun at the table when he comes in,
That
or
is
multiple guns.
Just unfortunate timing. You borrowed the neighbors just to
Yeah.
really stack them up.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6. I mean, you don't have to own them. You can go rent them for
You
the
can-
evenings.
Of
You know,
course.
you don't even have to know what you're doing cleaning them.
They don't even
Just
have to be
pretend.
real if you just,
If they look close enough. Cleaning the
some
guns.
Just
cardboard
make sure he
cutouts.
doesn't know that it's not a real gun.
It's a country song about that.
There.
Ronnie Atkins.
It's a great one.
Old Rod. So, what else? Tyler's going to Walmart. Jake's going on just only walks.
Nope.
And
I'm loosening it up now.
and
been
golf.
going to my
He's
office.
golfing.
Golf is, I'm not going to lie, since golf opened back up, whatever, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I think, today.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a savior for me because I did reach a point where it was a lack of motivation. I had 2 things that I wore during the day. They were my night pajamas and then my day pajamas, but they happened to be the same outfit. So just roll out of bed, walk down to my home office, and I'm working. It was great.
Just wait till I get you some of these fancy shorts.
I can't wait.
I'm wearing.
Are there restrictions on when I can and can't wear them?
No, I think so. I got these fancy shorts that match this fancy sweatshirt, both of which are items that I would not ever, for any reason, wear out of my house. But I thought,
Wink, wink.
But I thought that it might be appropriate attire for tonight's inaugural, episode, the debut of What the Heck. So I tried it on, but now that, the more that I think about it and the level of comfort of these weird sweatpants short hybrids, they're a little bit short for my comfort. I'm thinking about enforcing that as the crew attire for these shows. So I think that once I get the order placed, you can wear that during the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'll
change out of pajama
business
pants.
Business
to,
casual. That's really casual for my house.
So okay. You know what else I have an issue with is pajama pants. Are you pajama pant people?
I want to hear your issue before I speak on that.
One, for some reason, people put them on and feel like they need to leave the house. I have firm feelings on that. 2, there's not 1 minute that I've ever been wearing a sweat pant or a pajama pant or any kind of soft, fuzzy pant, lower half clothing item that I've not been sweating and uncomfortable.
I wear pajama pants 2 months out of the year. Usually November, December, January. When it's the coldest, and I don't sleep in them.
I was gonna say
they're way too hot. It's I wake up, I throw them on because I'm gonna walk around the house. I'm not going anywhere. That's the other thing. I have maybe 1 pair that I'd wear on a dress-up day to school because they're funny. But I'm not going out in public unless it's for something like that. I'm trying to get a laugh out of the kids, or I'm staying at home all day. I'm cold. I'm gonna put them on. I'm not sleeping in them. Nothing like that.
Also,
I'm opposed to them because my physique doesn't really fall in line with a pajama pant. I've found over the years that a large is like I'm wearing spandex around my thighs, which is super uncomfortable. There's no comfort to a pajama pant that sticks to you.
Right.
But then you go up to the extra large, and then it's like I have to like tie the string around my waist twice just to like get it to stay up. So I'm really that like in between physique guy, and so over the years I've gotten a few as gifts that have ended up either in the Goodwill, or my wife wears a couple for, you know, bedtime pants for her because they fit her better. So yeah, I'm not a pajama pant guy in any way, shape, or form.
Sometimes I think it would be nice, you know, I wake up and there's a little bit of chill in the house or something like that, and I'll like throw a pair of sweatpants on, and it's not 5 minutes before I quickly realize how bad of a decision I just made to start off my day. You know?
Well, you were a sweater ever since I've known you, so, you know, you probably wake up sweating.
It's my life. I'm in a constant state of perspiration.
For the record, Collin used to practice. He was a wrestler for a short period of time in high school days.
It was the worst
He would
period
go
of
through
my
like
life.
5 t-shirts of practice night. Not on top of each other, but like swapping shirts out as you could like wring them out and fill a soap bucket with it. It was pretty disgusting.
I come by pretty honest though. Both of my parents are kind of sweaters. Travis has been known to change his pants mid-game for sweat reasons.
So it's genetics, and it's not your fault.
But also some of it's my fault. But I'll tell you, sometimes it came in handy in wrestling, because I remember one practice I was way overweight and I lost like 11 pounds in an hour and a half.
You know, it could come in handy in a match too when you get all slimy and greasy like you did and nobody can really hold on to you. It's an added bonus.
Well, I think truly with just a little bit more guidance from my coaching staff, I wouldn't have needed the sweat lube, and I think I really, you know, could have.
Well, so what's on our agenda next? Moving on.
My activities during quarantine season. We just bought a house, so we've been busy with that. I put up a fire pit the other day with hopes that at some point, A, I'm going to be able to see my friends, and B, the weather's going to not be terrible.
I'd love to see that fire pit sometime.
It's right out there. I saw it the other day.
Jake has this real problem because he was 30 feet away and forgot to come say hi.
Whoa.
That's neither here nor there.
Or wasn't invited.
But today,
moving on,
I had the old euchre dog outside doing a little training. I have a dog. I have a chocolate lab. He's almost 2. His name's Euchre, like the card game, not the baseball announcer. And he is full of energy. Sometimes Katie wants to evict him, but then the rest of the time he looks at her like that picture over there where he's got his head all tilted and he's all cute. So then he gets to stay here. But I, in college, decided I was going to get into hunting a little bit, and so far I've done very little of that because I don't have any idea what I'm doing. So I currently have a dog that knows more about hunting birds than I do, which is interesting, and I'm trying to catch up, and I've got a really good resource in my breeder that I got him from. But
you could also call Big Tom, otherwise known as Craig Utech. He's a big bird hunter as well.
Craig and I are almost neighbors now, and I saw him the other day when I was out for a walk with the dog, and we had a nice chat. We did like the neighbor thing where you just stand out in the front yard and just chit-chat for a while. I'm really starting to enjoy those moments. I have found
that becoming an adult.
I found that buying a house has made me feel like such an old man. I get this real sense of pleasure. Like the other day I was out in my driveway grilling, which is a dad thing for sure. And I was talking, like yelling across the street to the neighbors over there, just having a chat. And then the next door neighbor drove past and I had to wave at him. Like it was this whole, I felt like I was in a movie, like just suburbia, you know?
Wait till you have kids and you have to yell at them, and then your circle is complete.
The circle of life. But it's been something else. So we've been working on the house. We also got engaged, so we've been planning a wedding, which let me tell you is far less stressful when you're marrying a wedding planner. There's just frankly,
she's got to have most of it planned at this point. Right?
It's a little.
She's got notebooks like, hey, what about this?
Well, it's a little bit different because we're doing the destination wedding deal, and she, that's a little bit outside of her wheelhouse, but she knows the questions to ask him, like what you need at a wedding, which apparently most of that stuff is fairly universal. So that's been going well, and with all this time together, she's not yet killed me, which I think.
Or left you.
Or left me. She's not left me or murdered me. So I'm feeling pretty good about things moving forward. I think we might be on.
I think she's in it for the long haul.
If she can put up.
If she can quarantine with you for 8 weeks, she can live with you forever.
What are you looking forward to the most once all of this is over?
That right there. Actually, that's not far off. I love a good cookout with a bunch of friends over and a good bonfire following that up.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe a few adult beverages spread throughout that day and night.
Mm-hmm.
I will say there's some bags games going on the side. Kids running around.
Are you a bags guy or a cornhole guy?
I'm a bags guy. The cornhole it's cornhole. It sounds a little weird to me. Like, I prefer to play bags.
I don't mind that. I think I tend to be a bags guy. I currently, my bags are at the bag hospital, which is tough because all the fabric stores are still closed. But at the last place I was living, they were outside in like a garden shed. The mice got into them, so I have kind of a corny mess. So I'm in need of new bags. But my boards are here. They're looking fresh. A little maroon and gold action. That big block M.
I was okay with the first one.
Oh, man. You guys should see the Gophs. They're great. Top 5 recruiting class in the nation. But that is a time.
How they did last year?
It's a topic for another time. They actually beat an SEC team in a bowl game.
All Bunyan?
Which might be the first time in the history of
the Axe
sports ever.
Was it a new SEC team? I didn't see the game.
It was Auburn. That's real.
Well,
That's a real
they've
football
fallen
team.
off
in the SEC, though.
Did they win a game this year? I'm just kidding. They're decent.
So anyway.
They lost the Axe again.
Tired of
I
this.
think back to your question. What am I looking forward to?
Please,
well, I'm also
please
looking
tell
forward
me.
to just getting back together with everybody. Just that being able to visit. I hate not being able to visit my grandparents, my parents,
What?
my
Follow.
sister just had a baby.
Stop. Hard stop.
Yep.
Why are you doing this bit where you make yourself sound like it's not that you're not a better human than us, but right now it's like,
no,
Jake just wants to drink beer in his yard and throw cornhole bags around.
Let me finish.
And Tyler's like, oh, my grandparents, they really need my love and affection at this time.
I'm putting that in with what he already said.
Sure.
Because what I'm actually excited for is sports. Like, I have not been able to watch live sports.
And Rockfest.
For Rock USA.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
It's totally different.
I'm not even thinking about that right now because I don't want to. But it's live sports because I don't think I've ever gone this long not being able to watch any. Like, I would do for tennis, soccer.
We don't got to
We
do not have to talk crazy.
I turned on the Korean baseball.
I was just going to say there's some Korean baseball fired up.
It's real.
I just want to see something.
I know
that's great.
There's not a lot of live sports going on, but once in a while I catch some time on the Ocho when ESPN the Ocho fires up. Katie and I were watching like juggling dodgeball the other day.
Did you see the rock skipping championships last week?
No, but
no joke. I was watching rock skipping championships. That's how bad it got.
I'm also a sucker for a good lawn tractor race. That's a thing that happens.
I wouldn't. That's not something that interests me. Maybe at this point, like if ESPN was like, hey, this is the one thing we're getting, I'd be like, all right, I'm in.
Stop. It's the NASCAR of the garden. It's up and coming.
Let me ask you if either of you gents have turned on The Last Dance and watched any of the 6 episodes released.
I haven't, only because I know if I watch what they're putting out, I'm going to want to just keep watching. So I'm just waiting for it all to come out so I can just spend like 2 days just watch it all at once.
So I will say that I don't watch it on Sunday night. Sunday's kind of even though we're quarantined with family all week, Sunday's kind of like a chill night. Kids are getting back to like school the next day and everything, so I don't watch them when they come out live. That's a little me time for later in the week when I can flip back on the Roku and turn on the ESPN and go down in the basement and watch the episodes. I will say, 6 episodes that have come out so far, I give it 2 thumbs up. I mean, now that was probably more I was an adult when that stuff was going on, or like late high school, into college, and the last, three-peat was going down. So you guys might have been a little young for the MJ episodes.
Like an infant or something, perhaps.
Yeah. But everybody knows Michael Jordan, and to hear the intricacies that were going throughout and the politics behind it, and I highly recommend it. If you haven't seen them, put it on your to-do list during quarantine. I can say that.
I would say the most MJ conversation I've had recently is with my father, and we sometimes fall into this bit where neither of us watch basketball very rarely. I've started watching the Bucks a little bit here in the last 5 years or so through college and stuff. But we do this fun bit where we argue about whether it's LeBron or Michael Jordan as the greatest ever, despite neither of us having any kind of stake in the argument. It just is an argument for the sake of arguing. We talk about who the real king is. So that's good. My issue, I've not watched it, and I likely will not, because I can't watch something that I really want to watch after 7 or 8 p.m.
You have Hulu Live, so you have Hulu.
No, I get that I
You
have
can watch it anytime you want.
I understand that I have access to it. The issue is that if it's after 6 p.m., which tends to be the only time I have any time to sit on the couch, I'm asleep, snoring through Katie's FaceTime call. Every single night. I don't know how she hasn't kicked me out. She's a saint. Yeah, that's a thing. I struggle with watching television unless it's something I'm really invested in, and I just don't think that I'm that invested in.
Well, I'm going to tell you got to watch episode 1 before you make up your mind on the whole series, the whole documentary. Give episode 1 a chance on Sunday afternoon around 1, and the weather's crappy and you don't have anything else going on. It's 1 hour long. Then you can make up your mind after that.
I think that I've been meaning to watch Onward on Disney Plus here for a few weeks, and I haven't even been able to do that. Committing to a series at this point in my old, fragile age is just, it feels like a lot.
Fragile age of...
I'm almost 5 years away from 30, and that, I think, is something to really start to discuss.
I'm, May? 3 months from 30.
See?
My friend.
And if I'm old, then he's elderly, and Jake is dead, according to that
30
timeline.
30 is long in my rearview mirror.
You're closer to 30 than he's closer to 30.
That is a fact that I enjoy so much.
I'm not even sure I remember my 30s.
Come on, you're not that old. You at least remember the end of your 30s.
Maybe the end, not the beginning.
I'll say, just since we're on, what have we been watching? Because you brought it up. And you brought up Disney Plus, right? Okay, which there's a lot of people who are, now that, I don't know if you guys are big Star Wars fans, if you watch the Clone Wars show, they put out a new season.
I've not watched it.
The Mandalorian.
No,
I'm watching the Mandalorian
Cut it
for the
out.
second time right now because I really like it.
I've seen
That's
episode
not
1.
even what I'm
it's so
talking
good.
about. I'm actually watching all the Marvel movies in chronological order.
I've been meaning to do that.
They're
That's
all on
something
Disney?
No,
Yeah.
all 23 of them.
Putting it on my to-do list right now.
Just-
Now I've only watched the first 2, which is in this order: Captain America, the First Avenger, and then Captain Marvel. But just some of the things that you catch up on watching it in that order, like some of the little things that they say, like, oh yeah, that actually happened. You know, things they say in Captain Marvel, oh yeah, that actually happened in Captain America, even though they were made 15 years apart. Like just some of the little intricacies that they throw in there is ridiculous. And I'm 2 movies in, so like I'm really excited to see, you know, over the next couple weeks
Sure.
what those little things are.
I like to balance out the production quality of Marvel films with some Disney Channel original movies.
Yes.
Katie and I watched Luck of the Irish in bed one day with the guy with the leprechaun, and that was pretty strong.
So this is a total dad of a daughter comment here, but I will say that I don't know if you boys have
girl
seen.
dad.
Yeah, hashtag girl dad. I don't know if you guys have seen the little Facebook clip of The Rock. He's got his like 1.5-year-old daughter on his lap.
You remind me a lot of The Rock, actually.
People have told me that.
Yeah.
Similar build. Yeah.
Sure.
So he's got his 1.5-year-old daughter on his lap, and she's making him sing
from Moana.
Moana.
I never saw that.
So it's great, by the way.
It's a good movie.
Great movie.
Right.
And at the end, like the comment in is that she doesn't know that he's Maui. So he says, like, his little blurb is, for the 2,372nd time, I'm singing the song, You're Welcome. And at the end, he goes, is Daddy Maui? And the little girl goes, no. And it's really cute. But I watched that the other day, and I'm like, I think I want to watch that movie. And my kids are a little older now, so they both looked at me like I was crazy. So I haven't seen it.
That does feel a little delicate, and I'd like to balance that out by asking if you've watched The Tiger King.
I have not seen any. I'm probably one of the few that have not seen anything of The Tiger King. I've read a lot about it. Some people say it's a waste of your days, it's a waste of your minutes.
It totally,
that time back.
It totally is, but it is.
It reels you in, right?
Yeah, it's like the most worthwhile waste of time.
So have you seen, this is an older one, but put it in comparison, Making of a Murderer?
I never watched it.
I haven't either.
Oh, well, you guys can't even give me an opinion then. Because I'm trying to draw those two together, like, well, there's some commonalities from what I hear behind them.
How many homosexual gun-toting gubernatorial candidates that play with tigers
None
are in
put a
Making
head
a
on
Murderer?
somebody.
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah. I just love it because every single person that you meet in the show is just like a terrible human being, except for the guy his workers. Yeah, they're good, and the guy that made the documentary.
Yes, who's just legit. Like, you see him on camera, you're like, all right, he's gonna just shoot it straight.
Yeah,
and
but
he's not holding anything back.
Right.
He reminds me of like a really hardcore Crocodile Dundee. Like, I see him, I'm like, all right, that's the guy right there.
It's something. I talked my parents into watching it. They thought it was a tremendous waste of time.
See, my parents, I wasn't even going to tell my parents about it. They watched it before I did.
Oh, really?
My dad's watching it a second time right now, and they've heard about they're like making it into a movie, and they're super pumped. And I'm so confused.
It is bizarre.
Because like I liked it, I watched it, and I thought at the end, wow, like that was, I didn't need to watch it, but it gets you sucked in. And all the people you're like, God, I'm glad I'm a better person than you are.
It's kind of like a car accident. Like, you just cannot
you gotta
look
slow
away.
down and see what's happening.
It's
Like,
terrible.
well, I could have that 15 seconds back.
Yeah. Also, the other thing that Katie and I did watch, the other series, is Love is Blind.
I know what it is. I haven't watched it. I've seen previews.
It was another thing where I was like, boy, it feels like I could be doing just about anything and be using my time more wisely.
That's when they're like both in separate rooms.
With like the pods,
other, right?
It's like speed blind dating. And then you're engaged, and then that was another show full of terrible people. There were like a couple like good ones, but Also, some really terrible ones.
I did buzz through Ozark, by the way. If anybody's not seen Ozark,
On my list.
put it at the top because season 2 came out like March 25th, so right, when this whole quarantine like was a week into play. I like binge watched that bad boy in like 3 days, and now I'm like jonesing for more, and they're not sure they're gonna have another season out.
Huh.
But highly recommend
I
that.
saw the first season, or most of it, and it was pretty good. I've never described myself as jonesing for anything, so I don't know if I can relate to that level of desire.
Let me change that. Quarantine jonesing, right? If the world wasn't like in a standstill, I'd have so much other things to fill my time with. But there's only so many Brewers games I can watch from 1987 or 98 and 2008.
Brewers classic.
Yeah, I'm all up. I'm classic out, guys. I'm classic out.
See, I would never, ever tune into something like that because I have this thing that I will not watch a sporting event of which I know the result. So, like my dad, he'll be out working in the yard or whatever, and the Bear game will be on. He wants to watch it, so he'll set it to record. He'll DVR it. And he'll go do whatever he's going to do, and then he'll come in and start the game from the beginning. And it just, like, it tears a hole in my soul to be getting ESPN alerts on my phone of scores and turnovers and all of this stuff. And here we are with 13 minutes left in the first quarter, wondering how the game's going to shake out, and they're already down by 37 because the Bears are terrible.
But your dad doesn't have all those fancy tech updates on his phone.
He is a tech machine, man.
I didn't picture him as an ESPN app sending him fumble alerts and score alerts.
He's not. And I think it's great that he's still able to enjoy the game. But for some reason, and I don't know if it's just like the young, like, instant gratification in my brain or what, but like, the game is ruined for me at that point. Like, I would rather not watch it and just like look back at those updates and be like, okay, and check my fantasy team, than watch a game that I already know what happened. So that is why I will not be watching any Brewers classics.
Were you born in 1987?
No.
So you're not sure what happened in the 1987 Brewers game in September 12th?
No.
So that might be one you should watch next time they broadcast it.
But what if I was one of those guys that just had that information in my noggin?
You don't. You just admitted you don't.
I think ESPN has it.
ESPN, I could look
You're
it
like, I know it's on, so I'm going to Google it and be like, they lost.
It'd be different if you wanted to
turn it
watch
off.
like a classic Cubs game or something, but
I'm not sure why someone would do that. I did recently, for my athletic news, subscribe to The Athletic, and I recommend it to all of you.
I've been thinking about that actually because I want to read all these articles that pop up.
It's so good.
But I read the first like 4 sentences and then they're in the middle of the next one and they're like, oh, you have to.
They're good. They have podcasts,
Mm-hmm.
and they had. I know Jake, you're a big draft guy. They had Dane Brugler, who was previously with CBS Sports, does this draft guide. So I was watching the draft with this binder of 250 sheets of paper that I had printed out with information on like every single prospect.
Oh, you actually printed that?
Yeah, I did. I think they got the binder in here.
Courtesy of Austin Beer Service.
No, I got a printer right behind you. But it includes information as if even things like, well, his nickname was Banjo because such and such, or his dad went to prison because he stole a car. There was so much of that during the draft.
I was gonna ask this. I know it's not on here, but I really wanted to ask because I know we all watched it. Did it feel like they just put so much more of that family history this year with all the picks than they have in the past? Or did I just not notice it as much?
Either it was extra heavily emphasized, or this group of draftees came from the roughest crowd.
I think it was emphasized because it was filler. They realized
I
that they
agree.
couldn't have
They needed more
the
content.
great, if it was Vegas, I mean, imagine what would have been going on in Vegas for a live draft and all that fun stuff. But they had to have filler and things that people would talk about. And that's where, little Susie's, Johnny's mom, Susie, went to prison for jacking a car when he was 8 and he lived with his grandma.
There were so many father deaths, mother deaths.
It was
like,
rough.
yeah, even just after the first round.
I kind of feel for these guys. Like, this is their moment, like the greatest moment of their lives, likely. And it's like totally being overshadowed by either something sad or maybe something that, perhaps has like a little shame or, anything like that. Like, it was just taking away from their moment. And I get it. Maybe that's like a big part of their journey to where they are.
Right.
Like, I understand. But I feel like that's their story to tell and not ESPN's.
But I'd be willing to bet that there was some sort of a survey, informational sheet, something that they sent out to these players and these draft picks that said, hey, answer these. Here's 20 questions. Pick 6 of them to answer, and then that's how they're going to talk about it. So
Sure.
I'm sure that they didn't post those. I'm sure that they weren't surprised.
Right, without consent.
Steve, Steve didn't watch it the next day and go, son of a, why'd they put my mom's information up there? Like, they all knew.
I don't think it was ESPN like going and searching for this. They got the information probably from the player or from somebody who gave them,
permission.
They let them use it. But I just feel like it was so much more this year than any other year, and it probably was because they needed to fill more. I mean, they weren't able to think how much time they just pan over the crowd as they're talking about nonsense, honestly.
Right.
And they just weren't able to do that.
Well, in Vegas, think about all the people they would have been showing in Vegas.
Oh man, and the boat ride to
you boys
the
ever been to Vegas?
Yeah.
I was there once when I was 16.
Oh, that doesn't count.
It did not.
I went for the first time last year and a half ago for my 40th birthday, and the people watching, like, I'm not a big gambler, but the people watching was worth its weight in admission for sure.
Yeah.
So this live NFL draft in Vegas would have been the most highly rated draft.
Oh, yeah.
Even though this one was, that one would have been.
I'm glad they're going back in 2 years.
Yeah, giving it another shot.
Because I think it's going to be the best one we've ever had. Just
like you said, the boat ride.
Vegas. Like, it's crazy.
But then I heard that in 23 it's actually coming to the Square in Walworth. So.
Oh, well, okay. So it'll be number 1 for 2 years, and then it'll become number 2. That's cool.
Yeah, that should be okay. I think they'll do it with Corn and Brat. Probably maybe move that schedule around.
That's a little late, though.
Another note on the draft was I think that Raj slightly turned down my I hate Raj meter a little bit. Like, he was like totally corny and like a lot of dad jokes, but there were like some bits that he was doing that I was like, you know what? This guy is like trying to be semi-likable and make the best of the situation.
When he kept trying to get the Jets fans to boo him more, he's like, "Come on, I can't hear you, boo!"
He did that like every time it panned to him.
Oh
boy, it was horrible. However, he did cool things like he kept moving his Mike Ditka bobblehead around like every single scene. He was like hanging out in his chair and eating M&Ms, and it was all like so dorky and terrible. Which reminds me of another thing that I'd like to discuss here in a moment. But I thought that Raj did okay.
I would agree with you.
Because I, having been a Cowboys fan through all the Ezekiel Elliott stuff, and I've not really always agreed with the things that he's done or said, and I know that it's also been a tough time in the NFL with the kneeling stuff and how that's kind of gone down and how people feel about that. So, like, it's a divisive time, and a lot of people I don't think really care for him that much. But I thought he did okay.
Yep. Agreed.
Yep, I agree.
Yep. So your other point.
Old folks, not even that old, folks older than 26.
Yes, because that's 2 of the 3 of us now. Thank you.
at some point, it feels like there's this line that you cross on social media where all of a sudden, just like things are so dorky. We were talking about this the other night. I was talking about it with a couple of my friends.
This wasn't at the bonfire I wasn't invited to?
No,
Okay.
when you were at the other one that I wasn't invited to next door.
I didn't host it. I can't invite you somewhere I don't host.
You sure can. I'm right here. It's no big deal. Anyway, I have a friend, William Q. Utesh, who does it very intentionally. And every time he does it, I just want to hit him a little bit. Like, it makes me laugh, but I'm like, and it just makes me want to hit him. Where he just like does, the caption on a Snapchat or something like that, where it's just like intentionally, like socially, I don't know, unaware, awkward, like too many exclamation points.
He's not over 26, by the way.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He does. I know. That's what I'm saying. Is he's within the age group where like he should have a handle on it, and he does, to the point that he reverses course.
Saying that I don't have this?
No, awareness. I'm not saying that it's all, but I'm just
like that's where people start to lose it.
Yeah, I think that I'm just hyper aware of it because I see all these Snapchat stories and I'm like, what are you doing?
Great, now I'm gonna have to
just
read my posts all the time.
Stop it.
Like 2 that I do a year.
But then there's people that just do it on purpose, like Will, who posted a picture of his dog the other day and said, "Selfie" with 4 exclamation points. Like, stop this. Stop the madness.
I think he does it on purpose just to make you mad.
He probably does now since we talked about it. I'm sure of it.
He's one of the 3 listeners out there, I can guarantee.
He also had a tweet last December about running into Santa at the bar and telling him to make sure he's not drinking and driving the sleigh. Like, come on, what are you doing? He's pretending he's 41 like Jake.
I need to write that down so I can say that to my daughter. She'd be really embarrassed or think it was really stupid and I would win. Thank you.
I'm just telling you that it is a thing of mine. It's not even really that it bothers me, but I'm just like very aware of it for some reason, and I'm always like, I don't know, critical, hyper aware, and it always makes, not even that it makes me mad, it just makes me shake my head and be like, come on, and feel like I am not a social media guru by any stretch of the imagination. I don't use Instagram that much or anything like that, so like my captions are not on fleek, as the kids might say. Do they still say fleek?
Not sure I've ever heard that word, so I don't think they say it.
I think I died a while ago.
All right, see? So here's my point about me not being on fleek, right? But even like I have a sense of like, oh, maybe I should not post this because I'm going to sound like I'm 37 and have 3 adult children.
So 7 with 3 adult.
That'd be awesome.
Well,
would it work?
Would it be?
It wouldn't.
They'd be out of your house.
It's not the worst.
You're 37. You have the rest of your life.
Do you know what I'd like to do for the rest of my life? I'd like to play this game called News or Not. So here we are. The first time we're ever going to play this, though I hope it goes well and perhaps it's not the last. I'm going to read 3 news headlines that I've found. 2 of them are true and 1 is not. So for the sake of this, I think I'm just going to have you hold one hand under the table with the finger that you think, like the number that you think is the false story.
Got it.
I'll keep track of points. Somebody will be a winner because this is America and there are no participation trophies allowed. I have prepared for overtime if need be. But
is it sudden death?
I don't.
Sudden death.
Be in overtime?
There can be anything.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. Don't worry. All right. Round 1. I think there are 3 rounds. 3 rounds. Round 1. The headline read, "Cop shouldn't have pulled over driver for flipping middle finger." I can come back later and read, like, the little subtitle. So that's number 1. Number 2, Kentucky Derby fans can watch turtles race instead of horses this weekend. And number 3, Japan and IOC postpone all 2020 Olympic events except fencing. One hand under the table, with which of the 3? 1, middle fingers. 2, turtle racing. 3, fencing in the Olympics. Which is false?
Do we speak, or do you wait to see our hand under the table?
Show me your hand above the table.
This is a 3, but that finger doesn't straighten all the way, so it's 2.5.
2.5.
Mine's a better number 3, so if that's correct, I win more points.
You're both correct.
I'm a big Olympic guy, so I knew all of it was rescheduled.
An excerpt says, beyond the standard white jacket, face mask, and gloves, fencers are now expected to don a full-body hazmat suit and alter their swords to be at least 6 feet long in order to avoid becoming too close to their opponent. Which means
We're tied.
that a state trooper's decision to stop a driver who flashed an obscene hand gesture wasn't justified. The North Carolina Supreme Court ruled Friday. So
They got to the Supreme Court.
So somebody flipped off a cop and got pulled over for it, and then just appealed all the way
It's
up to
cool.
the Supreme Court of the state and got away with it.
All right.
They have already set precedents, so it's fine.
So Jeter's
So-
better watch out.
I flip them off all the time.
Additionally, the Kentucky Turtle Derby will feature thoroughbreds like Sir Hides-a-Bunch, American Tortuga, and Galapagos in the field.
I actually saw that one.
So
what was it?
good.
A couple days ago, I think I saw that. It was pretty exciting because it's live sports.
Sports. Round 2. Darth Vader enforces coronavirus lockdown in Philippines villages. Netflix algorithm suggests that viewers who enjoyed Ozark will like most everything on the site. And a one-eyed squirrel with Instagram account is returned to nature. Please reveal. That's 2. Ozark, that's actually probably true. Jake probably likes everything on Netflix, except for the Tiger King, apparently.
Well, he hasn't.
I haven't seen it, so I can't say whether I do or do not like
You're
it.
good.
Gotta give episode 1 a chance.
Yeah, and then once episode 1 just kind of rolls in number 2.
I'll watch episode 1 Tiger King when you watch episode 1 Last Dance. Boom. Mind.
I think we found an assignment for the next episode.
That's true. We can talk about that. Well, I'm gonna have to find. I mean, it's gonna have to be Sunday because that's the only day that I can get to it before 6 p.m. But that's Mother's Day.
You won't be the whole day.
You're just grilling,
The whole
right?
day, I'm gonna be throwing on some ribs.
Wake up in the morning and
Oh,
throw
You
Last
them on
Dance
and they
on.
just sit there, right?
it's a process. You gotta watch it.
Well, you
Trust
can
me.
pause.
I'm like a dad now. I stand out in the driveway and wave to the neighbors and stuff. So
Drinking beer.
it's kind of like a whole day
I'm gonna drive
activity.
up and down the street
Just do
all
it.
day Sunday.
Oh,
I'm gonna
boy.
run over the gas.
My elbow injury is gonna act back up because I'm gonna be doing so much waving at Tyler driving past.
You might want to do it in the garage because it's supposed to rain all day Sunday.
It is.
Hate to rain on your parade.
Ha ha! My grill parade. Also, my elbow injury is a topic for another time because Jake loves
Episode
nothing more than talking about
27.
it. I will see you there. But let me tell you about Darth Vader. Local officials dressed up as Star Wars characters to enforce strict quarantine measures while also handing out relief packages. Additionally, Emily Istray of Lafayette, Louisiana, nursed Wilhelmina the squirrel back to health, a process that she said was, quote, like having a toddler on meth.
Okay.
So just in case you find a one-eyed squirrel, it's not as easy as you might think.
I want to know how she got that comparison.
I want to know how she knows what a toddler on meth is like.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
It's imagination. Here we go. We're tied. 2-2, which is a good thing that I prepared all these tiebreakers. But I didn't prepare like 100 of them, so hopefully that at some point someone knows more than the other. Round 3. Florida judge begs lawyers. Get dressed for Zoom hearings. Number 2. YouTube shuts down account of man who pushed for 5G coronavirus conspiracy. Number 3. SOS. Florida Senate wants to remove state laws regulating the telegraph. This is important stuff we're talking about here.
These are all real. It's a big question.
Fake news. And reveal. They both say 3. The Florida Senate wants to remove state laws regulating the telegraph. And that is a true story. The Florida Senate sent Republican Governor Ron DeSantis a bill Thursday that removes an entire chapter of state law regulating the telegraph industry, including $50 penalties for not promptly delivering messages.
Does anyone use the telegraph anymore? I'm just curious.
I don't know, but you can't get penalized if you respond slowly now. The false story here is the 5G one. It says YouTube has deleted English conspiracy theorist David Icke's account for violating their terms of service after Icke posted videos claiming 5G spreads coronavirus, a theory that has since incited dozens of arson attacks on cell towers.
See, but as crazy as the world is, there was a part of me that thought that was for real.
Because it had, well, not that they've taken down his account, but people actually believe that.
People are hung up on the 5G thing. That is for sure. All right.
We're still tied, by the way.
The tiebreaker, sudden death. So as soon as one of you answers one of these incorrectly,
it's all over.
It's all over. These are true or false. So let's use a one-finger salute as true and a fist as false.
Got it.
Number 1. Pablo Escobar's, quote, cocaine hippos may be restoring Colombia's ecosystem.
One finger was true.
Yep.
Fist
One
is
finger's
false.
True. Fist is false.
Can you re-ask the question, please?
Pablo Escobar's cocaine hippos may be restoring Colombia's ecosystem. That's true. They're both correct. Number 2. Doctors report, quote, COVID toes as possible new coronavirus symptom. That's false. Tyler Heck, ladies and gentlemen, is the winner of the first ever game of News or Not.
Yay!
It was a Cinderella story. Tyler, how do you feel after your victory?
It feels great to be here. I just got to thank God. This has been a great experience.
He's going to thank God, and he's going to thank his grandparents because he wants to only hang out with them after the virus is over.
I'm so excited.
He's
Happy hour. It's going to be lit.
He's going to have happy hour at 3 p.m.
With old-fashioned.
It actually starts at 3:30.
With old-fashioned, so they're ready for a 4 p.m. dinner and 6 p.m. cribbage before 6:30 bedtime.
Oh, actually, cribbage is before dinner.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not kidding.
I cannot. You know what? I used to. No, I can't say I used to. One time when I was a little kid, I went with my mom. My grandparents used to winter in Texas, but like all the way south in Texas. Like one time we crossed a river on this real ghetto ferry.
You thought you were in Mexico?
No, but I was though. I really was. But they lived in this trailer park, not a trailer park, but like a retirement village. That I still to this day only know as Casa del Old People. And that's what it was. It was interesting because like all of the old people there like knew my whole life story, which I thought was pretty weird. And also there was like 16 shuffleboard courts and a bridge tournament every day. It was everything I could have dreamed of, and the pool was 65 degrees.
Like 50 years. It's gonna be amazing.
Honestly,
Got about 5 and I'm in.
I was going to say, with as old as I'm getting, it could be next week, depending on how this coronavirus thing shakes out. So with that, it seems that we've reached our warm goodbye. I was going to say bitter farewell, but it's not that bitter.
We'll be back.
I enjoyed myself, We plan on coming back because that's the nice thing about this podcast is it's self-funded, so we're not relying on
We will
our
take donations or sponsors.
We can.
In
We'll
any
set
way,
up.
shape,
We'll
or
set up
form.
a Patreon if you want to provide the beer next time. You're welcome to. Just send it to the studio. I can get you that address if you send us fan mail. Fan mail is welcome. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Do you still do that thing where you enjoy getting mail, like when you're like a kid and somebody'd send you a letter?
Yeah.
I feel like that goes away when all of your mail is just dope nonsense.
But I think
That's
it
why
makes
it's
it
even better.
Yeah,
because
it just makes it like, oh my gosh, this is a legit
You
thing.
go, Bill,
Who's Bill?
junk mail.
Paper.
Oh my gosh, I got a birthday card from my grandma. It's like awesome.
Oh, but also my birthday's not until October, and it seems that the memory thing is really becoming a bit.
Easter is a good example. Easter was during quarantine, so I get the mail one day. It happened to be Monday after Easter. It was Bill, junk mail. Oh, here's a card. Oh, look, it's a card from my parents. Oh, open it up. There's some money in there. Happy Easter with some cash. Made my day.
I'm nearly neighbors with your parents, and they could drop any of that off at any point. Katie does a thing where she has this stash of cards all the time, and it actually kind of saved my butt last night. But she has cards, and she'll just like send them to her friends once in a while because she's a nice human, which I could do, but
it's a girly thing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Kim does the same thing.
If
you sent me a card randomly, I'd be like, it's a little weird.
I need to go to the store quick.
But she had a couple laying around, and today's actually my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad.
Daryl, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
But she had some cards laying around, and I was responsible. My brothers and their wives and kids, and we all went in on a gift together, and I was the designated wrapper. Actually, Katie wrapped that as well. It got sent here, but she handled the wrapping. This podcast makes it sound like Katie pretty much does everything, and that's a fact. So thank you. You're really great. I'll see you soon. But also,
Katie should be a guest on our podcast at some point in the future.
Katie, the Katie progression through this podcast thing has really been a remarkable turnaround story that gives me a lot of hope for the future of this show. Because at first I said, honey, I'm starting a podcast. And she looked at me like with the same look that she gives me with like 86% of the things that I say that are generally just nonsense. But she was like, what are you talking about? And then I was already like trying to decide. I was like, all right, well, I'm going to get banished to the basement, but maybe that's okay. But well, probably not in the finished part of the basement. So then I got to be in the unfinished part. And I was like, well, if I hang up some curtains over like the storage shelves, then maybe we could no, the table's not going to fit in there. So then should we use a TV tray? And she's like, why don't you just use that guest bedroom? And I was like, yes. So at that point, somehow, in my taking her downstairs to show her my vision for my basement dungeon podcast studio, she came around on the idea enough to move us upstairs. And then she was excited to listen. That was all good. Until last night when we came in here to, give this equipment, one last once over because I bought all of the stuff that I don't have a single clue how to use. So it's been kind of a learning process as I go here. So we came in here to like get a little practice run in, and I think she kind of enjoyed it. So I don't want to go out too far on a limb here, but I think it's safe to assume that at some point she would join the show.
I also think it's safe to assume that you two are going to have your own podcast at some point down the road. And it better not rival ours, so do it different.
Honestly, life's going to be tough when both podcasts are number 1 and 2 on the leisure podcast category.
As long as we're one, I don't give a shit what's below.
Katie also has this funny thing where she thinks that Jake is of Hispanic origin. And it cracks me up every single time.
We're going to have a good interview when Katie comes on the show about that. That's going to be great.
I'm going to practice up on my Spanish so I can try and do that podcast as much in Spanish as I can.
I think that's going to be good. So I think that I'd like to call this a success, and I hope that you all enjoyed it, had a few laughs with us. Maybe we're impressed at their ability to sniff out the fake news. But so go ahead and finish that beer that you cracked. I hope that you're not still on the first one, because I'm positive that it's warm at this point. But have a good rest of your night. Stay safe. Continue to maintain your social distancing while also maintaining your sanity. And we'll see you in a week. For Jake Reese, Tyler Heck, I'm Collin Frederick. Goodbye and good night.